I have been trying to figure out what my next step is as an artist. I've self-released 2 projects so far, and I really just wanted to reach my maximum potential, I guess. And I recognize that a lot of my time is spent on the internet reading other people's things. And participating in social networking is important as an artist, and I get that, but I waste a lot of time just kind of doing something that doesn't really help me in any way. So the internet hiatus has been hard, and so that was really interesting to me too. I haven't been as successful at it as I want to be, but just kind of telling people that I'm doing it helps me use it less. The idea being that all that time that I spent on the internet, I can spend focusing on something creative and just trying to get better at what I do. There's this whole, I guess I had this whole kind of discussion with a couple friends of mine about art and good art versus okay art. And I think it's easy for someone like me to rely on trying to brand myself in order to sell myself, rather than focusing on creating really incredible art that everyone's going to want because it's really good. There's kind of a weird balance there that you have to try and find. So I'm trying to figure that out, I guess. I'm working on a couple projects. I've got a project with Andrew Futrall that I'm working on, and I'm going to Nashville soon to work with some producers down there, so I'm trying to write as much material as I can. It's a totally different environment and a totally different group of people, and I think for me it's going to be really good to stretch and challenge myself. I started playing open mics. It took me a long time to really find my place in a community of musicians in New York. Probably like 2 years. I started playing open mics, and then I played my first gig at the 169 bar. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I feel like that's everyone's first gig. It's in Chinatown. And then I played a couple shows in Brooklyn, and then I started playing at Sidewalk Cafe and Rockwood. And it's just one of those things that you kind of feel like is never going to continue to grow, but as long as you keep doing it, you play bigger and bigger shows. So I think it's been about 3 years, I guess, since I quit my job and started trying to pursue it full time. So actually I owe a lot to the internet in terms of meeting people. But yeah, you meet musicians by playing shows and by going to shows, and being on the internet, I guess, was the way that it worked out for me, which is really funny. I guess my biggest influence in terms of helping me recognize exactly what I wanted to do was Brandi Carlile, because I went to one of her shows not even knowing who she was, never heard of her before, and she sang this specific lyric, "I've seen your 9 to 5s wash away your dreams," and I was working the job that I hated, and when she sang that, I just was like, I have to quit my job. And I finally kind of understood why every time I went to a live music performance I would get angry, kind of like sad, and it's because I was jealous. So I would just watch people who were wonderful and cry because I was so mad that I couldn't do what they were doing or wasn't doing what they were doing. And then I got tired of feeling that way. So I still feel that way sometimes, but. Obviously, someday it would be nice to meet Brandi Carlile and thank her for helping me figure my shit out, but, oops, sorry. Patty Griffin. I want to sing with Patty Griffin. There. Sorry, I don't know why it took me so long to recall that, but she's one of my, I would go so far as to say, maybe my favorite songwriter, because she's just really prolific and she's really good at writing story songs, which I think is really difficult. I write songs all about, like myself. I don't really write songs about other people or things that I haven't experienced, and I think she's brilliant at that. The music industry. I try not to think about it too much because my nature is to think positively and believe that anything is possible. And if you think about the music industry and how terrible it is in some aspects, it's really depressing. So I try not to think about it because it just gets me down. I mean, when I went to Berkeley, I had a lot of professors who, I studied music business, so I had a lot of professors who would say, this is how it worked when I was in the industry, but everything is changing now. So it's kind of up to you guys. It's Jay-Z, so it's okay. What was I saying? Oh, music industry.
That's really distracting.
And it's Rihanna, so it's also okay. Then, working for a major music company, I kind of saw the way they worked and have seen the way that they've had to downsize their staffs and fire a lot of people. It's sad and it's scary, but I just try to focus on what I do and acknowledge that there's enough room for everyone. And it's just so fascinating to me that there are artists that I've never heard of before who have a large following of fans that have heard of them. So just kind of, that reminds me that you can be a nobody to a lot of people, but you can, you know, still have people who support you and will buy your music. And I guess that is the beauty of the internet. The only thing about the internet is that it's just so oversaturated. So I think it's going to be an EP. This is another kind of thing about the music industry, is that people, you can look at it a bunch of different ways, but for the most part, people don't buy full albums anymore, unless you're Taylor Swift or, you know, Kanye West or whatever, or Jay-Z. People don't buy full-length albums, they want the singles. So I would rather put out a really strong EP of 6 really good songs. And of course, obviously, I would love to put out an album of 11 really awesome songs, but that's expensive. And for now, I kind of feel like an EP makes sense for me. I want it to be an EP. I want it to have bonus features. I want it to have kind of a behind-the-scenes documentary style thing with it. I want it to have lyrics and artwork and photos and just a bunch of stuff to make it a package that's really interesting to people. And so I'm trying to brainstorm how to make that happen. I think the cool thing about being a creative person is that most of the time your fans are really interested in all aspects of your creativity. Or I am as a fan. I want to see the notebooks of the people that I listen to. I want to see what they doodle about. I want to, you know, be there with them when I want to watch their process. And I don't know if it's because I'm a musician, but I think that's kind of a common thing. There's this thing about artists that it's pretty magical when there's a little bit of mystery there, but at the same time, you want to know a little bit more than maybe the person next to you about this person or this music that means something to you. So I kind of want to create that for people. I don't want everyone knowing everything about my life, but I want them to know some things and know me as a person, and then I think that kind of helps them connect to the music. And honestly, the first tour I ever did was with Allison in the Pacific Northwest, and that is probably always going to be one of the most memorable tours I've done because we didn't know each other, we just kind of went. I had never been to any of those places, and so it was pretty magical to visit them and experience touring for the first time, and it was just a lot of fun. So I think that one will always kind of have a spot in my heart.
How did you guys meet here? And then
we met on the internet. All you can do is just be as good as you can with the talent that you have, and know that you have to work hard, and you can't rely on the internet, you can't rely on You can't rely on anything other than yourself, and no one's going to believe in you more than you do. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. And I guess that's kind of the hardest part for a lot of people. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then why should anybody else really? The most important part is believing in yourself and working hard and being kind. There's a musician coming next week named Natalie Press, and she's from Nashville. And I'm gonna sound like such a geek because I know who she is, and she was in a class of mine at Berkeley, but I don't think she has any clue who I am, but I'm very aware of who she is and have followed her. And she's pretty amazing to me, but she's really, really, really good. And one of those people that makes me hate myself, you know? That's how I gauge how good a person is how gross I feel after going to watch them. So if you can make me jealous, it means you're really good.